Yes, guys, we're slightly earlier. I thought definitely it'll be midnight, creeping into the early hours on Friday. Unfortunately, not. Or fortunately, yes, thank God we can sleep early for crying out loud. And this first time in the Caribbean tour, Gurkirat and his friend's house. I'm back home. Som's still in office, and Nick's is where he is. It almost feels like one of those sixth grade birthday parties, guys, where we all go have cake, play cricket, and then the big boys are so arrogant that they don't want to bat. Be like, chalo bache, all the 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds go bat first. And then eventually Rohit had to eventually bat to get India home by 5 wickets and a billion overs to spare. What's up, guys? Som, I mean, you're smiling because you can go home early. So
I
this is
have a
short.
suggestion.
Yeah,
I have a
yeah.
suggestion. Since it was such a random game, right, full of randomness, maybe we can also just talk about random things on this show because
Chalo,
there's clearly not much to talk.
100%.
I'm
By
just
the way,
thinking how angry Rohit must have been walking out. कि भाई मेरे को खेलना ही नहीं था आज. I would have been back. I mean, I was assuming you would be back in the hotel itself. कि ठीक है यार, I won't be needed today. He must have been so pissed walking out. Bizarre game. I think the moment of the game for me was that ball with Kuldeep bowled to uh, Karai. It was the drift he got and whatever happened. I mean, that is my favorite ever Hawkeye. I mean, from all the cricket I've ever watched, I mean, I've watched nothing like that. Almost brilliant. But apart from that, yeah, India's batting, I mean, so random, so bizarre. Uh, I mean, they took it lightly and 25, 30 more runs. And I mean, it would have been a very, very nerve wracking watch. But to be fair, the players who were given a chance, though at time it felt like that they are preparing for the T20 series instead of the World Cup. But once the players are given a chance, they should have really finished it off earlier. I mean, it's pretty loose, to be
it
honest.
is pretty loose. I mean, you look at what the spinners did today, and there's plenty more stats on cricket.com. If you're a left arm spinner and you played in Barbados today, you just had a field day. I think Gurukesh Moti as well, getting two in the end. Kuldeep 4 for 6, nearly breaking that Virendra Sehwag record of the best four for India have 4 for 6 within 4 overs bowled. Yeah, Gurkirat, go on.
Is Would have been close to those figures of Stuart Binney as well. Had he maybe if he had come in early to bowl. What
Maybe. But guys, I don't want to talk about the match. I just want to talk about what is this West Indies team? I mean, we have grown up idolizing Brian Charles Lara, Viv Richards. Some would even say the likes of, I don't know, Shervin Campbell, like Som told me earlier this evening. But this team is just a joke. I mean, all their dismissals. Shimron Hetmeyer, what was he doing? I have no idea. Shea Hope missing again. I mean, sure, there's better things for them to do. Next.
Yeah, it's not probably their best or the I don't know least worst performing format. I don't know how to put it in that because I think it happens with sides when you are going through a period of transition where you lose out on everything that you ever had, and they've had trouble times in ODIs since a long time, but they always had a few individual performers who would ensure that there is some respectability or there are a few good games coming along the way. With this group, I think they lost the qualifiers. They don't have a lot of their first 11 players, and they did not even play Joseph today. So they are clearly looking at something else. And the pitch is also again, it is not something that they want or they like. So there has to be a concentrated effort to first get them what they want to play on, and then you go on and do something because as Aritaram says, India lost 5 wickets. Had they had 50 more runs, somehow it would have been proper fun to watch Rohit and Virat bat at 8 and 9 to try and chase a score with so many wickets down. So I think pitches are also a problem. They like to play their shots, whatever it is. It is a lot has to go right for them to get back to where they were.
No, absolutely. By the way, Charan Reddy, Sagar Dalwani, Chuchant, the regular
So,
candidates, whoever's watching right now, big up to you guys. Keep your questions coming through. Yes, so.
so while watching this West Indies innings unfold, I was doing some research with the boys here. You know, West Indies have not beaten India in a test since 2002. They have not beaten Australia in a test since 2003. They have not beaten South Africa in a test in 2007. So I think, I mean, I don't know, world cricket as a whole needs to really look into it. If not for those T20 World Cups, which obviously do not come easy, I mean, I'm not sure if at this point of time West Indies even deserve to be part of so many bilateral fixtures on a regular basis. To be very honest.
Yeah,
But what
they've
is
not
stopping
beaten.
you? I
They've
mean,
not beaten India.
their T20 team, yeah, is fine. Sure, you look at their T20 team; it's done well. Their Test team also over the past 4 years has given me some hope. Chalo, theek hai, they beat England in 2019. ODIs, though, I've given up. Like, when was the last time they were actually good in ODIs? 2007.
Yeah, I mean they struggled to qualify 2017 Champions Trophy. They may not have qualified for the 2019 World Cup as well if it not been for those umpiring decisions. And yeah, I mean they last beat India in ODI was probably in 2019. So a lot of games that they do get against these top teams is basically because of their legacy. I mean, at this point of time, I can't help but think that a series versus Afghanistan, which was actually scheduled to happen after the WTC, it would have done India a, a lot more benefit than this series right now because it would have been at home in similar conditions as the World Cup against a team that is going to play the World Cup, and you would have still gained something. Right now,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you could again argue that West Indies are not putting up a fight, but India are also not doing what they can do, to sort of get any takeaways from games like this because there's hardly any takeaways that India can also take from a game like this.
Mhm.
We
I
can
mean,
talk about Sky. So please talk about Sky.
we'll come to Sky, but before that, I just want to add. I mean, what frustrated me the most was, as usual, when we see such games where West Indies is unfold, commentators going back to the point that this West Indies, the name of West Indies was taken so seriously. But it was 2 generations ago. We can't still live with that legacy. It's time to move on. I mean, it's just. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to sound very belittling, but it is what it is. It feels sort of a waste of everyone's time. And even Indian team just made a joke out of them, just sending Shardul Thakur to bat. I mean, they were just making a mockery of an international fixture, to be very honest. And I mean, I don't mind saying that West Indies deserve that treatment.
Bro, when was the last time West Indies did anything in ODIs? I'm trying to think back. Chalo, theek hai, 2004 Champions Trophy. They won it on a cold summer's day in England by tailenders bailing them out. Apart
Yeah.
from that, it's just like he said,
And
legacy.
And again, I mean, just if you can take Suchant's comment, Gill can't even score a half century against a team which Gurkirat and I are considering subpar. Now, I'll tell you what happens with such series, and especially people who are so damn critical, like Suchant is often. I mean, if Gill scores 100, Suchant would say, "Hey, West Indies ke saath hi to 100 mara hai." And if Gill gets out early, West Indies ke against bhi run nahi bana paya. So it's like these series are a lose-lose scenario from every perspective.
Yeah, okay. I completely resonate with you, Som, right now. But many people also in the comments are saying things like this, like Arithram saying, imagine facing Zampa, Agar, blah, 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 blah. I just want to ask you guys about the pitch because lots of people have again thrown daggers at it. Was it as bad as Dominica and, dare I say, Trinidad, Nix?
See, the pitch, it spun more than what both teams expected because both teams did not carry more than 2 spinners. So they definitely didn't see it turn as much, but we talked about it being dry underneath. So maybe that dryness just did come to fore. And I think the only takeaway for India is we have talked about teams being 10 for 3. India were preparing as if they are 10 for 3, which is why you saw Kishan walk out to bat, which is why you saw Surya walk out to bat. So my problem is, even as the comment says, even if it's this opposition, the ball was spinning. Rohit, Virat, and everybody will also not mind facing this kind of bowling and getting to 115. It is fine. You are getting game time in the roles that they are going to play at the World Cup. My only problem with this team is they are scared to lose firstly, so they opted to bowl first. If they
Yeah.
wanted to give people batting practice, bat first. You won the toss. You chose to bowl first to ensure the safety of not chasing a big score. But if you want to give people chance, bat first and then give them that chance. This is not helping anybody because are you going to tell me that Surya is going to bat in the power play? Then what are you preparing for? I mean, you are doing the same thing that you did against Ireland. That Huda will open, score a ton, Sky will open, score a ton, and then come the World Cup, they will bat in completely different scenarios.
But it
So
smells like, it really smells like really something dodgy, guys. Just correct me if I'm wrong. think about it. Every time India have like a suspect series against Zimbabwe, Ireland, West Indies, all the minnows, with due respect, it feels like they don't care about the series, and even if the big players go, they're always like doing the things which win them the game fast, which is better for us technically in one way or the other. But generally, they should use this time to experiment. Rohit kind of could have batted and
So
probably got the same
see,
batting order.
there are two kinds of teams or players. Some who love winning or some who hate losing. You know, like Federer, for example, is love to win sort of a guy. Djokovic is maybe the other way around. Even Kohli is hate to lose kind of a guy. With teams, it can be you like love winning or you're too scared to lose. At this point of time, for a while now, I felt that this Indian team is more scared to lose. Whenever they dish
100%.
out, whenever they dish out rank turners or in home tests, I mean, look at this Ashes. Yeah, no one cares about the result. I mean, they do care about the result, but at the end of the day, it's a memorable contest. India were playing Australia earlier this year. They dished out so pathetic wickets just because they were afraid of losing. And I mean, the point is, you are you don't even enough confidence in your own team to sort of assume that it will be competitive in normal conditions as well. And even right now against West Indies, if you really want, I mean, India's you don't know the batting lineup. You're trying to test players out on certain roles. Why would you not use this opportunity to bat first? I mean, what is this fear of losing against a team which is not even in the World Cup? So it's just
And
bizarre.
continuing from where Somesh left, after they prepared a rank turner in Indore, the next pitch was an absolute flatbed because they didn't want to lose the series.
Yeah.
Because they realized that the turner has backfired. And what they've done in this series, like in this game, is similar to what they had done when they were touring Zimbabwe last year.
Yeah.
They won the toss, chose to bowl first in the first two ODIs, and then in the third ODI they chose to bat first. So I mean, like I said in the preview show, it's one thing to talk about process and completely another to walk the talk. And what has been happening in the last year and a half, and it really adds to my frustration as a viewer, is that there is absolutely no walking the talk, absolutely no walking the talk. It's just become going with your safe choices, to the extent that come the crunch moment you are ready to even discard all that you've done and again go with a safe choice. Or there's plenty of examples. I keep going back to this, playing Rishabh Pant over Dinesh Karthik in the World T20, going back to Mohammad Shami, going back to Ajinkya Rahane. I feel one of the reasons why Shikhar Dhawan is not in the Asian Games squad is because there's again a possibility that they could go back to him in the World Cup, because absolutely so many things just are becoming, and I'm at a loss of words because they're just very frustrating. You keep seeing the same idea fall flat in front of your faces, but you don't do anything to address it, which just keeps adding to the frustration.
So, Nix, let me ask you a question, right? If West Indies scored 314, not 114, would they have still gone Kishan, Gill, Sky, all of these guys? And then
No,
okay, fine, cool. Then cool, kudos to the team. But I
no.
bet if it was 250 plus, it would have been that same top order, which we'll see.
But see, my only point there is it's the conditions that are different. Had this been a road and the top three bats, then it's not getting anything. But the surface was not good to bat in terms of stroke play now. So if the top three bats, I don't mind them batting and facing spin bowling where the ball is turning a bit. So you may score 300 or 250, 260, but it will be challenging. So there you still get to learn a lot more about your players, that how will they face if they get a pitcher like this in Chepak or in the subcontinent or in India for the World Cup. So that's where my issue lies, that what is the see game time. I understand getting people game time is good, getting people confidence that you have runs behind the ball, but where are those runs scored, in what kind of situation, and in what kind of role? That I feel is far more important than just giving a 50. So Kishan has got a 50, great for him, but is he next going to bat at 4 or open the batting? I don't know how the team feels that it is okay to swap positions and roles as frequently as this. I don't know. There may be some logic to it because we keep seeing it at every stage now, and maybe it's a thing under Dravid that you try people at various positions and then you see how it goes. But we've seen how it goes in the past. I don't know how much it will change.
I just want to draw your attention to what Som said earlier, Sky, and he's going to pick the bones about it right now because lots of people are asking about Sky in the comments, like Sagar Chandra saying, Sky still favored over Ruturaj. What's the kind of backing he's facing? I don't know, but the
Again,
potential.
this is a very absurd comparison. Rituraj is an opener, Sky is a middle order batter. So it's no comparison. I mean, if you have to compare someone with Sky, you have to either think about Sanju Samson, who by the way is averaging 66 at a strike rate of 104 in ODIs. Samson, see, there was someone in the
In fact,
commentary.
I put that up for the viewers who missed it in the preview. This is
Yeah,
the one.
so someone in the commentary today said that Samson is himself to blame because he did not take the chances he was given with both hands. I was like, dude, you're mixing formats here. Because I don't think Samson could have done anything different in ODIs. He's done everything he could. Samson, at this point of time, has played in 5 different countries against 5 different oppositions. With against every opposition, he's averaging 40 or above at a strike rate of 90 or above. And in that middle order role, which India want someone at. Now, I mean, what more Samson could have done? And it is, I mean, the point is, there is certain sexiness which is involved with Sky. And there is a reason we discussed it in the preview as well, that the ceiling is very high. But at this point of time, I feel Sky just bats, even if it's a test match, it's a ODI, he just bats like a 20 over game. He gives me a feeling of a player who's never played a list A game in his life, to be very honest, which is quite absurd because he is 33 and he has played different formats in the domestic circuit for, I mean, decades now. So, I mean, he should not be giving that impression. But yeah, I think that, I mean, this series is the limit. If he can't
Is
nail
there a balance,
the
Som? Is there
tempo,
a balance between players, how we, slander them for stat padding in matches like this, compared to players who we'd love to see get on with it? He obviously falls in the latter, but his ODI career is in a precarious spot, right? So how should he approach it?
see, the point is, just have a look at when he walks out to bat, the second ball he faced, every ball he wants to play that scoop shot. He was facing Drakes. And I was thinking if instead of Drakes, it would have been Stark, he would have been gone again. Because he's premeditating and walking across to hit the scoop shot. Because he just wants to look good. And the point is in T20s, a couple of those 2-3 scoop shots will win you the games. But it won't happen in ODIs. ODIs, you have to build your innings.
Yeah, go on. I mean, those are points to consider because I was just peering towards Sagar Chandra's comment. And look what he says. Just one question: the absence of IR/KL among the three of Sky, Samson, Rituraj, then India say a 40 for 3. Who's the most favorable? That's why I say Ritu's idle in the absence of IR and KL. Surely there's a debate here. Surely there's a debate.
I was on mute, I didn't realize. Ruturaj is in the Asian Games squad. He's clearly not in the plans for the World Cup right now. So I don't know why is there even a conversation that why is Ruturaj not getting these games right now? Because you want to give these games to someone who can be in your potential World Cup squad. And we discussed this with regards to Mukesh Kumar as well earlier today. So, and this comparison is absurd between Ruturaj and Suryakumar Yadav. So I just think Ruturaj will get his chance, but probably post the World Cup and not before that.
And as an opener, not in the middle order, right?
Yeah, because you have a lot of players who can bat 3. I mean, Shreyas has been doing very well. If Shreyas gets fit, then he takes it. He takes that spot and he takes it because he's done so well. It's not that he's just being served that on the platter. He's done very well for India regardless of which opposition he's faced.
Yeah, and the question here is in the absence of Iyer and KL. And if those two are absent, I would really say, and we have discussed this, we would rather have Akshar Patel batting there because he has played spin so well in different conditions. And the point with Indian cricket right now is you don't have good players of spin. And if at all at a World Cup venue like Chennai or others, if there is some help for spinners, India might find themselves in trouble. And this is where having Akshar somewhere in the batting order might really help them.
By the way, Surya Sesha going on to say Rohit spoke about giving chances to the batters in the presentation. Surely he had to bat first. Yeah, it's a point that
this is Gukirat's point, right? I mean, you say something, but you do something very different. So it's just you're just saying things for the sake of saying, you don't mean it.
Well, 1 second. This Rajkumar topic about Sky, obviously this is not true. Is it just an ego thing then in this format? Because all the times he's gotten out, is there a theme behind it, guys? Sky and ODIs?
See, if I were to make a case for Sky, like a possible explanation that I can come up with, that maybe he's told to bat like that. Maybe he's been told that you have to be someone who gives the innings impetus, and you should bat in your own way. Maybe he's been
regardless
given.
regardless of the situation.
I'm just saying that that could be one of the reasons. I don't think that should be the case, but maybe he's been given that sort of a license which you could have associated with someone like a Virender Sehwag. Because if Sky is doing all of this by his own accord, then yeah, like Sumesh said, he gives the impression that he's not played any listed cricket. Because today also he missed a few sweeps. It was a shot that was not working out for him, but and he needs to realize that right now, even if he fails to make this series count, then it's going to be really difficult for him to keep commanding a place in the 11.
What about this, Nix? Can he crack the ODI code? That's a question which has been thrown around quite a bit going into the series, with Sky being picked in the one day international squad. Is he meant for this format? Is he just being shoehorned because the World Cup is around and he's a great batter with lots of upside?
See, you can understand, as both Som and Paji rightly pointed out, there are ceilings, there is point where you want to back him. But I feel players take time to understand their right tempo for that format. We've seen that trouble with Rishabh as in T20s as well, that sometimes you just struggle to understand what is the tempo that you want to go on. As Som also said, this coming in premeditating that I'll play the scoop set, it is fine. You caught the bowler off guard. But then the bowler is going to be ready for you. So you saw how the left arm spin has been a struggle for him. And as Sagar also pointed out, that it is something that has bothered him. And every time you see him bat against them, he's always trying the sweep shot, then that this is my way to get out of it. But maybe if he spends more time, he gets the hang of how I want to construct this innings. Do I have a clear idea in mind that this is the tempo that I'm going to bat on? Maybe he'll have a few more go-to options, that he will not look to sweep. He'll look to get himself in and then maybe play his shots. So see the thing with players who don't take the conventional type of shots, it's you don't know their thinking at that point of time. Because for us, what is a high risk shot? For them, it is their bread and butter. But that bread and butter also has to come out at the right time and come off as frequently for you, so that you also understand that, okay, next time I'm in such situation, I know this is the tempo that I want to bat into. So my only problem here is it is too close to the World Cup to have people who want to look for the tempo. You already have a player in Sanju Samson who feels far more suited to knowing his role and tempo as an ODI player batting in the lower order. When you're trying to push somebody, it's the same thing that they did in the test in the test that they played in. You cannot just suddenly give people chances because you feel they may not. This is not the time to do that. You want to do that after a World Cup. Rest all your seniors. Send everybody you want to play for a year. But so close to the World Cup, you don't want to have too many people trying to find the right tempo to play the ODI format.
Okay. Sagar going on to add, saying Sky should bat at 6 if he's in the 11 for ODIs. He can maximize the last 10 overs. Also, Hardik has to bat at 4. He's no longer a finisher. He used to be, and turned as an anchor, which reminds me of another comment of Anurag Jha, because he says, don't you think the absence of Iron Raul make Kishan open and have a Gill at number 4? Sorry, not this one. There was another comment, beg your pardon, from Surya Sesha, who says another problem could surface in the World Cup if the top order collapses. Hardik and Jaddu struggles against quality bowling. Jaddu and white ball cricket, that is. India need KL and Shreyas fit and firing. How much are you guys agreeing with Surya here? So?
I mean, it's the same thing, right? I mean, the point is, in an ideal situation, Shreyas and KL are your 4 and 5. But the point is, given that right now they're injured, you have to be best prepared, and which is something is really surprising. That why is then Kishan opening, and why is Samson not there? The point is, when Kishan walked out to open, I felt that they've already spoken to the lads at the NC and they're 100% sure that KL is going to be fit in due course, because that's the only explanation. Because that's the only way it makes sense. Ki Kishan is your backup opener. So let's just send him out to open, because anyway, we know for sure that KL would be back. And that's the only way I can explain all of this. That's the only way I can explain Samson's exclusion and Kishan opening today. But then still, it begs the question that what about Shreyas Iyer? Maybe they are convinced that he's fit as well. So in due course, we'll realize. But it's always better to be, prepared. Which is ideally this series. I mean, ideally all bilaterals should just be seen as practice games. they have ODI status, and that's why. But people don't really. I mean, in this day and age, you can't just take these series as a must-win situation, right? There's a bigger prize to achieve, and you need to be better prepared for it.
Absolutely. Guys, we've shot over time. A final question. It's a messy one, if you guys get the pun. Comes from Lionel, because he goes on to say, do you think there's favoritism in the dressing room? We'll all have our objective says on it, or subjective. Gurkirat, I'll start with you. Be honest.
He is so favorite, he's again on mute.
Exactly. That's the problem.
My answer to this question is always yes, and that's not just the case with this dressing room. It's with any sporting dressing room, because your your selections are not completely objective. They will be subjective, because you don't select on the basis of numbers alone. You also select on the basis of your comfort zone. So yes, there is always some favoritism, and you can't have selections without that.
Som, you echo those thoughts? Am I
Yeah, I
lobbying
mean,
the dressing room?
see, I think favoritism is too loose a term. It's a team sport, and ultimately, you want your team players to be compatible with your thought process. At times, there can be players who are pretty lethal, but they are not easy to manage, and you might not end up picking them. And that is also a kind of favoritism, but it's not really the kind of favoritism that we are talking about right now. But it's pretty natural that there will be certain players you are more comfortable with, and vice versa. Like if it's, let's say, player A is very comfortable with the captain, he would be sending texts out, checking regularly that, oh, if I'm playing or not, I'm playing or not. And it's pretty natural for a captain to think that, oh, maybe he's hungrier than the other guy, so let's give him a chance. It's bound to happen. And it's not just about favoritism, it's also about some people's are extroverted. Like, for example, I read this in the book that Bharat Sundaresan wrote about the tour down under. Pant was constantly nagging Ravi Shastri that when am I going to play? And at some point of time, Ravi Shastri had to relent that, oh, we have to play him because he's after my case. So, I mean, being extroverted also helps.
It helps, but a lot of people in the comments, Nick, so my final question is to you, saying the favoritism exists for sure. Obviously, it's tongue-in-cheek here. All I'll try to say is this, right? You look at Dhoni's team, he had Reina, Ashwin, all those kind of guys. You look
They
at
would have been
Virat,
in any teams. I mean, someone has to be really dumb as a skipper to not pick Suresh Raina in a white ball team in his
I
prime.
agree. But look at the CSK guys who Dhoni had in that point of time. Badrinath, all these guys came through, right? It's not just Reina and
They
Ashwin.
are still okay.
Who was that pacer? Who was that pacer
Sudeep
who
Tyagi,
debuted for India? Sudeep
Sudeep
Tyagi.
Tyagi, Manpreet Goni, these
Manpreet
guys.
Dhoni, yeah.
So
See,
Kohli also
Raina,
had
Ashwin,
Siraj, he had Dubey, he had Chahal. So now Rohit
that's what I'm
has
saying.
Bharat.
It's what I had alluded to in the preview. It will always be the case.
Yeah.
Because if you take this out of the game, then you might as well have computers doing
So
the
does
selection.
that mean we'll see a GT favoritism next in the next sort of trend, and
In
we'll see
T20s, it is there.
It has already happened.
In
Shivam
T20s, it is
Bhavi
there.
has debuted for India.
No,
It's
even
already
more,
happened.
so much so that even Rahul Tewatia plays.
That is one favoritism I would welcome.
Exactly. Same here. Yeah.
Next spinner. 1 second.
No,
So
not
I
just
want to bowl a googly to Nix right now. Look, Yannick Correa, we saw him today. My question to you, Nix, is can you name another leg spinner in world cricket today who's bowled? I can't. I generally can't. White
I can
ball.
bowl
Come
leg
on.
spin.
There's no one there.
I can try bowling leg spin.
Apart from Somesh, of course.
Parkinson, I don't know if he's bald, but
Easily.
yeah.
Generally
Yeah,
can't.
but- yeah.
So let us know in the comments below, guys. That's something to think about on a Thursday night, trickling into the Friday morning. Gurkirat, really appreciate your time. Nix as well, and Somesh. You guys can catch us on, when is it? Saturday for the second preview. We'll be there at 6:35, 5 minutes after the toss, and we'll take all your questions in the build-up to that second one-day international. It's been an early finish, but good for us, good for you all. Enjoy it. There's plenty of good things to watch, including cricket.com's YouTube channel and our social media handles. And follow all these guys individually as well. We'll leave all of their handles in the description below. My name's Avnish Hegde. I need a glass of water, and I'm out of here. We'll see you soon.
Cheers.